Alright guys, Jameson Alex here. Today we're going to be talking about the Painkiller Illrigger subclass. If you don't know what an Illrigger is, make sure you check out the base class video. It's kind of like an evil paladin.
You're going to be so confused.
Yes, make sure you check that out so that you understand. It's the class made by Matthew Colville, thoroughly tested and everything. If you're new to the subclass series or to the channel, we are going to rate the roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy based on how the abilities gained in this subclass improve on the base class abilities.
Yes.
I also have a giveaway for the D&D Beyond Players bundle, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe to be entered in that. Riffin the Ash Knight calls upon your aid to save Humblewood. With scores of villages lost to the spreading flames, a small but mighty group of heroes is needed to restore balance to the wood. Will you answer the call? Riffin is available now as an adorable plushie. For a limited time, save $10 by bundling this squishable friend with either the Humblewood book or box set. Order before December 19th and use code FREESHIP at checkout to receive free shipping to the US and Canada on orders of $100 or more of in-stock items and to guarantee shipping in time for Christmas. Stay heroic and get yours today at hitpointpress.com/Humblewood. All that being said, we'll jump straight into it. First up, we have some tenants, such as the Paladins.
Right. So again, because of that, it will give a little free bump to its RP score when we get to that. So we get tenets of lead from the front, commander, victory at any cost, and soldiers die. I care not for the lives of my soldier, for they exist to serve my victory. They are resources to be spent. And as a quick general thing, if you haven't seen, or if you've kind of been a while since you watched the base Illrigger video, whatever the case may be, this in general kind of feels like Paladin Warlock mixed together as the shortest hand to give you an idea of what we're looking at. Again, there are Paladin tenets. You know, you're specifically with the Painkiller, you're up front, like commander, you're a hellknight. There's another short way. That's the kind of short term they get to let you know what this is all about.
Right. And with all of that, at the beginning of choosing the subclass, you pick who you are making contract with. So with the Painkiller, you're making a contract with Despater. And with that, you get two options for your Invoke Authority, which is your one-a-day ability. Yep. The first is Devastator. As an action, you invoke the authority of a Despater, a number of allies equal to your Charisma modifier, whom you can see within 60 feet, and you may use a reaction to make one weapon attack.
Yeah.
So just everyone goes in at the same time. You could have a huge first round of combat if you're all positioned to be able to hit that. The second option you get is, for your Invoke Authority, is Infernal Surge. Upon invoking the authority, you gain an extra action in addition to your normal action and any possible bonus action. It's action surge, but it's once a day, potentially, but you can only choose one of these per day.
Yes.
You can't do each of them once. You just get one invoke.
Right. Think Chain of Divinity for a cleric. You've got multiple options for it, but you can only use it so many times. It's not like you can use all of them multiple times. You've got 2 uses or 3 uses, depending on what level you are, for pick whichever one you want.
Yes.
You also do get bonus proficiency of heavy armor. This is the only one of the 3 that does grant heavy armor because it's the most upfront, battle commander that you're in the fray with. Also at level 7, you get By the Throat. As an action, you can place a seal on an enemy within 30 feet. If they are large or smaller, they must make a wisdom saving throw. Your DC for all your saving throws is proficiency bonus plus charisma plus 8, obviously. If they fail the saving throw, they are grappled with an escape DC of 15, and the target is restrained until the grapple ends. At 9, you have Telekinetic Seal. You can, as a reaction to an enemy moving into a space adjacent to you, place a seal on them. If you do, you must make a wisdom saving throw, just with the same modifier. If they fail, they are thrown back 30 feet and knocked prone. I just imagine like somebody coming at you, like trying to charge at you, you just basically like force kick them back towards your barbarian or your fighter or your paladin.
Yep.
And they're on their back. You're like,
go to town.
Go to town. Like that's just the perfect scenario.
One thing to take note of on there is these 2 options share the seals with your Baleful Interdict, so you can't. It's not infinite uses for these.
Correct.
They are shared in the same pool, which is based on your Charisma modifier, to be able to use those. But you do get those back on short rest, so keep that in mind. Then at level 13, you die on my command. When an ally within 30 feet of you can hear you drops to 0 hit points but is not outright killed, you can use your reaction to shout an order, causing them to drop to 1 hit point instead. You can only use this feature once per short or long rest. So keep that in mind. Level 17, we have Steel Mind. gain advantage on wisdom saving throws against spells and enemy abilities.
Never a bad thing.
And one thing, before we get to the Pain Devil final capstone ability, we're going to jump down. This is very strange how they did this on the PDF.
Yep.
That they just have the Interdite improvements.
Yes.
After all of the abilities in random order, because you normally get these bonuses for all the subclasses. They're going to be at level 6, level 10, and level 18. You're getting bonuses to your seals, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And each subclass is going to get different variants to that. With this one, we have... The first one is I Am Death at 6th level, so kind of go back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
After placing a seal on a creature, your attacks against that creature have advantage until the end of your turn. And then at level 10, we have Hell's Fury. The bonus action you use to place on a creature now also grants you a weapon attack against them. One thing to keep in mind with that is if you're going to use the Force Push one, where you're knocking them back with the telekinetic seal, you're probably not going to be in range of them after you do that, unless you still have your movement. So make sure you plan your seals accordingly with what abilities you want to use with that. Because basically, if you knock someone back with this, you're not going to be able to get that bonus attack.
This is correct.
Against the same creature. And then lastly, at 18, we have Death Strike. When you consume a seal after a successful attack roll against an interdicted creature, you may use your reaction to make the attack score a critical hit. So you just have a guaranteed critical.
Yep.
So, not too bad. But it does use your reaction.
It does. And finally, at level 20, and these are some buckwild capstones for all three of these.
They all are crazy.
For all three of these subclasses. You get Pain Devil. You can use your reaction to become a Pain Devil for 1 minute. Your size becomes large. You gain +3 to hit and damage with melee weapons. You gain 100 temporary hit points.
Why not?
Yeah, because why not? You made an aura of pain that forces every enemy starting their turn within 20 feet of you to make a DC 16 Constitution saving throw or suffer 4d12 force damage on a failed save and half on a successful saving throw. As wounds in their flesh spontaneously open, once a creature saves, they are immune to this ability for 24 hours. While in this form, your type becomes Fiend, and Hell is your home plane. You cannot use this feature again until you finish a long rest. And the creature type isn't particular because there's certain spells that might affect differently, and also and also banishment, because now you're, instead of being from one plane, now you're from a different plane. So that would create some interesting
could cause some issues.
Yeah,
potentially. But yeah, those are all the abilities gained in the subclass.
Which is a bunch.
There are a lot, and that's just how Illrigger is, because each of the subclasses gets 3 upgrades to their Baleful Interdite, and then they get 6 class abilities, which is more than any other class gets.
Yep.
Plus their 2 Invoke Authority options.
Right.
So they're getting a ton of options in their subclasses.
For all of these, the subclass controls more of how this character plays than the base class does, where the subclass kind of flavoring it a little bit differently, giving some other options.
Exactly. So, first up is the roleplay value, asterisk as always.
Yep.
When we're talking about roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order.
Yes.
Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. Can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they improve the potential in those roleplay scenarios. So looking at the actual abilities of the Painkiller, there's a lot of niche stuff on here, but really not too much. I mean, you have the tenets, which we normally don't give extra bonuses for RP flavor stuff. But with Paladins, we give a little bit of lenience just because it's the whole class functions around these laws, and the DM can have a little bit more lenience as to intervening if you go against your own things that go with the subclass.
Right.
So it has a little bit more weight than really any other class when you're talking about flavor stuff, because it's built into the character. So we give a little bit for that. But that being said, the niche uses you have are your extra action, which you can do once a day with that. Wisdom saves is minor, but you also only get it at 17. So Wisdom is probably the most likely to be RP save.
Yes.
Because you're getting things like Charm. So that keeping in mind. And then there's some niche use, I guess, as well, with like the Force Choke and Force Push, essentially.
Pretty much.
They have some potential in the RP, just because you just need to mark them with a seal to do it. And you don't necessarily have to damage them to do it. So the rest use it as like an intimidation, or
pretty much everything else is going to be geared toward combat.
Right. So that being said, it's pretty easy with the RP on here. Give it a 1.5. Yeah. It does have the niche uses, but there's some potential for those, so we gave just a little bit.
Yeah. On the combat side of things, as with all of our subclass reviews, if one is very light on one category, it's usually because it's focused on the other, and that's definitely the case here. Both of your invoke authorities giving everybody in the party here an extra attack. That's just fun. It's just like almost like calling an airstrike. It's like, okay, this guy, let's just kill him right now. Okay.
Yeah, I just think if you have like a Gloomstalker Ranger and Assassin Rogue in the party, just
annihilate something. Plus, giving you an extra action. You know, if at one time, I think everybody get an extra attack is going to be the better option most of the time.
Almost I can't think of any reason why you would want to take an extra action when you can just give everyone an extra attack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
of course, heavy armor is helping you specifically in combat, of course. The one thing to keep in mind with that, and something we had kind of discussed, is there's a specific fighting style that goes with the base Illrigger that lets you use your charisma.
Yes, it's called lies. Because I guess it's charisma-based deception, but somehow that lets you... Anyway,
it lets you use charisma for your attack rolls and your damage modifier, things like that when you're attacking with specifically has to be a two-handed melee weapon. Well, if that's the case, there's a lot of the better heavy armors do have a strength requirement.
Correct.
So it's kind of like, you could just use that and not worry about the strength and having heavy armor. Just stick with medium. That option's there, so you can kind of go either way with it.
Right.
There's choice, but it is what it is.
You might get stretched a little thin because this subclass is really relying on the seals, and you want to have that charisma score up.
Absolutely. Sure. With both by the throat and telekinetic seal, it kind of gives you some CC options. You know, being able just to grapple something in place. It does take your action, but still, if you can hold them in place.
Yeah, the restraint condition it's worth an action.
Yeah, it's an underappreciated thing. And again, if you can manage to like aim a knockback and kick somebody prone in front of another martial class that then has advantage to cut up something, that's great. Dying on my command, again, just helping somebody stay up for free.
Yes,
that can be fun. Wisdom, evangel wisdom saving throws against spells, specifically enemy abilities, never a bad thing. And of course, your capstone, giving you better chance to hit, more damage, a bunch of hit points, and a free chance to do extra damage around you.
Yeah,
is all around great. And finally, because there's a bunch here that's all combat related, your interdict improvements. You've got attacks giving you advantage for the rest of your turns. If you use a bonus action to place a seal, your attack first turn get advantage. That's great. Bonus action lets you get your weapon attack when you place that seal. So bonus action attack and then attack. That's fun together. And then, of course, auto crits and crit confirms are always a lovely thing. So at the end of the day, we went with a 4.5 on the score out of a possible 5. There's just so much there for combat. Really, the only small drawbacks are some of the stuff is kind of weighted toward the very end. There's not much you get early because you really don't get an ability outside of your invoke authorities until 7.
Right.
So you're really kind of just base seals and your invoke authorities early.
Right.
But
it does have a slow start for sure.
Yeah, but it's one of those. But once you hit 7, you get technically 6 with your first interdict improvement. It's 6, 7, 9, 10. 13, 17, 18, 20. Like
so many.
so much stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think the main thing with this one that keeps it limited and I guess balanced as well kind of falls into that is the limited seal usage.
Yep.
Essentially, when you're out of seals, you're just a dude with a hammer whacking stuff because you can't really do a whole lot. It's just when you have your seals, you have a lot of utility.
You can pump out invoke authorities once a day, so it's seals and invoke. Once those are gone. You a fighter. Yeah, you're just whacking stuff. There's not really a whole lot going on with it at that point. So it's learning when to use those. And it is nice that you get them on a short rest. So you can, as long as you're getting you might be kind of dependent on the short rests a little bit with this subclass. So keep that in mind. Remember the whole kind of feels like a warlock at times? You do love your short rests.
And lastly, we have the overall class synergy. And with the way the base class is built, as you can see with all the stuff they get, it really builds a lot of potential for synergy, just innately in the base class. Mm-hmm. So with that, you get your 2 new ways to apply the seals with the force choke and the force. I'm just gonna call them that from now. The force choke and the force push.
That's what they are.
2 new ways to get that seal attached to a target. Then you're also getting bonuses when you do attach a seal to a target.
Yep.
And the critical hit is, whatever. So there's lots of synergy within the subclass itself. And then also with the base class. So we just went with a 4.5 on that for the synergy. So lots of moving parts that kind of intertwine. Maybe it's maybe a stepping stone. Maybe not the best first character for the Illrigger. These homebrew classes tend to not be the best starter players. Classes.
Definitely not. But
definitely interesting.
It does create some interesting opportunities and some interesting ability combinations. And like you said, to me, this is a very strategy based subclass 2 play. Because like you said, if you use your limited resources in the wrong time, it's going to feel really bad. Yeah, you're just gonna, when you use them correctly, it's going to feel really good. Like I made the right decision, smart call. To me, it's a higher IQ, gamer IQ, higher RPG IQ type class, which I'm totally okay with.
Yes, definitely. Stay heroic and get yours today at hitpointpress.com/humblewood. Yeah, so definitely very interesting subclass on here for a crazy base class. Definitely interesting. There are 2 more to go over, so stay tuned to the channel for those. But that's all for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. Check out our Amazon storefront. Check out our merch storefront. Cool stuff on there. Make sure you check it out.
Absolutely.
But as always, guys, thanks for watching.